Welcome to being at home with George during COVID. Very excited and this wonderful spring day and reflecting on where we are and where we're going and the state of where we are as a country and as a world community. And I like to talk about it in terms of back to the future. So we're not going back to normal. There's a new normal, but we're actually getting back to where we left off and then moving forward. And so I think about what I talk about all the time and this idea of embracing everything that is present: pain, the joy, the love, compassion, the frustration, the fatigue, because I'm feeling like, yeah, there's a malaise or fatigue after going through everything we've gone through. And so this idea of embracing that and then hoping and generating the hope. And I also think about, so that requires that just speaking for myself, that means it requires some planning. So how do I get back to the future? And so planning and creating, because obviously things are different. And so I have to come from a different place. So even though I speak about me in the first term or myself, it's also interchangeable with we. So me and we is interchangeable because what I am doing, I believe we're all going through this idea of embracing and hoping and the need to be planning and creating. And when you look at where we are now, it is this opportunity to create something great and something new, because we can't go back to the way things were because they're no longer present. It's a new world, it's a new beginning. And to me, so that means that if I'm going to be planning and creating, then I have to be really cognizant, really aware of what am I investing in? What are we investing in? And what kind of a future am I creating for myself? And then what kind of future are we creating with ourselves? And so it's this moment that is the only time we can invest, we can actually create. And so for me, I think about creating with my thoughts, my words, my deeds, and that words matter, and being present and being in a growth mode, having this courageous initiative to really say, okay, the world's not the way it was yet. There's an opportunity to build it in a way that I'm inspired and moved and motivated to live into. So I know we live into the future we see. So why not create a great future, one that we're excited about? We can start to think about how can I create a future that I can be my best self in, that I can get beyond the illusion of separateness and realize that, yes, I have to take care of me, but I also have to incorporate the we. And through this time, we've been talking about this shift from doing to being. And so now we've been working on being all this time. Now we're getting into doing. We want to hit the ground with both feet running and with the heart humming, but we have to have a vision. We have to have a possibility that we want to live into. And it's the simple things that me just taking care of myself, being careful not to harm myself or others, but really understand, what am I creating? What words, what thoughts, what actions am I taking down? And it's like investments. Where are those investments taking me? And so I mean, that's to be determined, but I know if I can be present, be loving, be in growth mode versus survival mode, understand that there's abundance enough for all of us to be able to share in, that it's going to work out. And so love is a productive thing. So for me, when I think about it on a personal level, it's like me taking care of myself, caring to my needs, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, but it also has to do with me taking responsibility for not only my needs, but for needs of others. How can I be supportive? How can I help others? Am I creating a possibility for not just me, but for we to do it together and to support each other? And so hitting the ground with both feet running and the heart humming, it's always about love, is always about inclusion. It's always about how can we do this together in a way where we create an environment, create a community, create a world in which everybody is excited about being part of and don't feel like they're left behind or left out. But it starts with me, and it's me really being cognizant of what am I creating through word, thought, and deed. What kind of thoughts am I thinking? Are they unifying thoughts? Are they thoughts of love, of growth mindset? Yeah, we're going to make mistakes. I don't know, but if I can just understand that, yeah, I learned from mistakes is trial and error, but at the same time, why not create a future that I'm excited about versus just meandering through and saying, okay, we don't know what's going to happen. Well, what do we want to have happen? Let's make it. Let's take initiative and make things better. So just speaking and reflecting on this idea of Back to the Future, it seems a little vague because we don't really know. It's kind of a proposition and a thought experiment on some level, but on another level, there's not a lot of specificity because we're in the planning process. But even though we don't know, one of the things I know that's important is how we use this moment, what investment we use in word, thought, and deed. And so my wish is we live in a world where it's better together. So we're sharing and caring. And so we're not just saying, okay, my group, my family, my political party, or my country is the only thing I want to focus on, and I don't care about anyone else. It's more about an inclusion. And it's like maybe, you drop the pebble in the pond, in the middle of the pond, and then it ripples out. So we begin with ourselves, with our own communities, with our own families, and then it ripples out so that it expands more and more to the greater community, or that it hits the whole planet, maybe the whole galaxy, the whole universe. And so it's really more about, yeah, I don't know, but I know this, that love is the way that is better together. And if I can get out of the survival mode, that we could figure it out. And so it is vague, but what I'm clear about and what I hope for is that if people can be still and know, people can come from the inside out, from love and the growth mode, that we'll figure it out like we always do. We'll take a crisis and, yeah, well, there'll be danger there, there'll be uncertainty there, but there's also opportunity. And if we can focus on the opportunity, what we want to create, and how to bring things together, whether it's rebuilding our infrastructure or making sure everybody can eat, or making sure everybody gets protected from disease, not just the pandemic, but also the disease of poverty, of racial injustice, of blaming other parts of our population. In this case, like the Asian community, where we're blaming and we're denying and we're scapegoating others instead of realizing that no, let's not blame, let's not deny, let's just create something that works for everybody. But it begins with me, and then it ripples out. And so when I think about the future, it's vague, but I do know this. We can create something, and why not create something where we feel there's more inclusion, there's more, we get beyond the illusion of separateness or just our group or our tribe. And yeah, we can do our tribe, but it has to ripple out where we all feel like we're one and that we're all working together. And it's interesting because people will say, that's Pollyanna-ish, but when you think about just the rescue bill, where it's one of the most unifying bills we've had to date, because I'm not talking about the politicians, I'm talking about the people. When you have 70 plus people that are in agreement with something, that never happens. So there's a movement of the heart, and there's a movement of people knowing that we want everybody to not be hungry. We want everybody to be safe, and at the same time, we want to create a space where people could take responsibility and be willing to work for what they get. And if there's no opportunity to work, then of course you're going to feel helpless and hopeless. And then you're going to be more susceptible to being radicalized or just giving up, having so much apathy that you just stop trying and you develop this learned helplessness. When we raise things up, all boats get raised, or all people get raised with that. So we have to get to that point, but it begins on how we're looking at things and stop thinking about my tribe and not wanting to help others because we don't think they deserve it, or who knows why the reason is, but that's just not going to work. We're not going to make it unless we do it together. Being in the planning stage, we really don't have all the answers, but I do know that how we are being is going to give us the opportunity to exercise any plan that we come up with, to be able to execute it. because the being part is really important. Being present, being attentive, learning from trial and error, learning from mistakes. And we're going to make mistakes. We might overshoot something or undershoot something. But if we are committed to the process, then when we overshoot, we cut back. If we undershoot, we build up. And that's how we learn as human beings, trial and error. And we can't get to the point where we can't make any mistakes. There's going to be mistakes made. The important thing is to learn from them and to keep moving into a future that we are excited about living into. So it's important to understand that this is a complex thing. It's not black or white. And so the idea is that even though being in the moment is important, we still have to plan for the future and look at the future. So even though it may seem like we're out of the moment, no, this moment sets up the future. And if we don't know what the future is or what our intentions are for the future, then we won't know how to be in the moment. And even if we don't know, if we manage the moment, we'll figure it out.